Stugatz here. Whether you're into podcasts about ghastly crimes or hip-hop rhymes, there's always something new to discover on Spotify. With a mix of originals and many of the world's most popular shows, listening to podcasts on Spotify is easy. Just open the app, tap Browse, and dive into their growing library. Subscribe to your favorites, including our entire archive, so you'll never miss a show. You can also download podcasts for those moments when you're up in the air or going underground. Podcasts on Spotify are streaming right now. Go check them out today.
Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit Pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
Don Le Batard.
Do you go to the supermarket at all, Dan?
I do. I go to, yes, I do.
Whole Foods or something? Yeah. That'd be better. I have a lot of difficulty picturing Dan pushing his shopping cart.
Yeah, he's a handbasket guy.
Stugatz.
No way it's a cart.
Yeah,
No. There's no way it's a cart.
I'd be so shocked. I'd be less shocked if Dan was riding a burro.
No, if he goes shopping cart, he's at the front of it pulling it, not at the back of it.
Really? If he's doing it, it's not the traditional way.
He's not two hands. He's not two hands on the handle.
Yeah, he's in front of it and he's dragging it behind him.
Yeah, as he's picking out stuff.
I have Mike pushing the cart and Dan just going down the aisle.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Diddy wants to buy the Panthers.
Yep. Colin Kaepernick said he's in. Did that via Twitter. Said, let's go. I'm in.
Do you want Diddy as an owner? Jerry Richardson is selling his football team. Mr. Richardson is selling his football team amid sexual harassment that was pretty bad. The details were pretty bad by themselves, but the selling of the team made me think, oh, that's just the surface. Is that unfair of me? Once we went straight from scandal statement, I'm selling the team in 24 hours, it made me feel like, oh, this isn't all of it. Because this stuff might be actionable. Some of this stuff might be, might be dangerous, but there might be more. There has to be more stuff here.
Yes, that's the first place my mind went to.
You're volunteering the sale of your team? You're volunteering. You didn't. It's not like Adam Silver coming in.
I've never heard a rumor, a story, anything about Jerry Richardson wanting to sell the Panthers until this weekend. After this news.
Let me ask you guys this question: are you guys sure that what he's worried about being investigated is the sexual stuff and not the racial slur? Because...
No, I'm not sure.
Because we don't see these guys sell their teams very often. Everybody wants these teams. Everybody wants in that club. Rich people want in that club. They will have a line out the door trying to buy that team.
It was a safe assumption to make. When you see zero public pushback from the person who's at the very center of this, that's sort of, okay, I don't want a bigger circus than already is. This is a story that broke over the weekend.
It's the reason people resign.
Yeah, and it had a solution before the new week of news stream came out. So, yeah, it made me just assume, okay, there's probably a lot more there, and he's just trying to avoid people from digging.
So we're looking for Lane Kiffin. The Lane train is an adventure. It stops and it starts and it goes. He was supposed to be on with us last week, but there's a lot of stuff going on. There's no corralling Lane Kiffin. Did you see what Jadeveon Clowney said about Blake Bortles?
I did not, no.
He was asked about Blake Bortles because the Jacksonville Jags look totally overwhelming. And Blake Bortles, the last, if you guys want to do stat of the day again, there's some Blake Bortles stats. They're crazy lately. Let's do stat of the day again since it's sponsored. Let's do stat of the day again.
Wow.
Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day, it is your start of the day.
Blake Bortles over the past 3 weeks, 71% completion rate, 903 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, an NFL best 85.4 total QBR, and a 3-0 record. And
Chris Sims may want to revise his
Well, how about
ranking.
this, though? After that game, after Jacksonville just buried Jadeveon Clowney's team, Jadeveon Clowney was asked after that what he thought of Blake Bortles, and he said simply, he's trash. He's trash. You just lost by 6 or 7 touchdowns.
Probably not the right time.
My math is not good enough to figure out how many touchdowns you lost by. Did you see, Guillermo, we have trouble getting sound. Mic'd sound is difficult. Mic'd sound can be difficult to get from the NFL sometimes. But did you see, Stugatz, the back and forth that Clay Matthews had and Cam Newton had?
It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the NFL, in any sport for that matter. It was just such a great interaction with those two.
I love how relaxed Cam Newton is on the field. I love that he is always smiling. And if you don't know what this back and forth was, did they grant us the sound or did they not grant us the ability to use the sound?
This is the version that we can play.
Okay.
It's not great.
All right, that's fine. Allison, what's going on with Lane Kiffin? Before we play that sound, what's going on with Lane Kiffin?
I mean, he...
Okay, very good. That's enough. Thank you. No, that's good enough.
The I mean
Thank
was
you.
enough.
That's
Yes.
fine. Thank you. Good. Hopefully we'll
The I mean is everything.
The version we're about to play, we have to play the version that went out over the Fox broadcast. So you'll be hearing Troy Aikman and Joe Buck speaking over this, and it's not the clean.
All right, I'll
pure
explain
cut.
what happened here, but let's play the audio for the people who haven't heard it.
Christian McCaffrey with 8 touches on this drive. The only reason he didn't get it on the last play was because he was on the sidelines. But they've got him in the game now, right alongside Cam Newton.
So if you couldn't hear what was happening in the background there, Clay Matthews was screaming, "It's that wheel route. It's that wheel route." And so Cam Newton said, "You've been watching film, huh?" And Matthews said, "Yeah." And then Cam said, "That's cool. Watch this."
So
and
great.
then touchdown pass.
Yes.
Like he knew, like Clay Matthews thought he got Cam Newton, and Cam Newton was like, that's cool that you think you know what this is. I'm going to snap as soon as I say watch this. The snap count is basically watch this so that I can appeal cooler.
Yes.
My snap count is when I say watch this.
It's so great. Oh, you know the play? Well, watch this.
Watch this. Because you're going to be in the wrong place, and watch how wide open this is. All of you are in the wrong place, and I know it before I've even snapped it. That must be such a good feeling when you get behind center and you just know that well.
Yes. And how about Clay Matthews on the other side of that, though? Because he was feeling pretty
He was feeling
about
good, right. That's how you get humbled. I feel like that was the entire Packer experience yesterday from top to bottom.
Is there, if you're a defender, a worse face to be looking back when you think you got somebody than to see Cam Newton smiling?
Cam Newton smiling. No. Cam Newton smiling, winking, and watch this.
I call timeout right there.
Timeout. Wait. It's clearly not the wheel route. Wait.
He's doing something else.
Wait.
Bat mitzvahs are expensive. Time for some ads.
Start thinking about all that time you spent in the film room just to get laughed at and winked at by Cam Newton.
Don Lebatard.
You are the best, and when I say the best, I mean the very worst and most evil.
Stugatz.
The worst.
But this time, it's for real.
Worst.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
All right, so straight talk is what it'll be. The president of ESPN has resigned, and sent out a statement. And I'm sorry. I just want to know that he's okay.
Take your time, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm just learning this now, okay? And this is this is the reason that I work here. And so I don't know what's coming. I don't know what this is, but He has turned in his resignation. He sent it to everybody at ESPN through all the email accounts. And he said, I'd like to share a statement I'm issuing today as well as one from Bob Iger. It has been my absolute privilege to serve as president of ESPN. Sincerely, John Skipper. Today I have resigned from my duties as president of ESPN. I've had a wonderful career at the Walt Disney Company, and I'm grateful for the many opportunities and friendships. I owe a debt to many, but most profoundly, Michael Linton, George Bodenheimer, and Bob Iger. I've struggled for many years with a substance addiction. I've decided for the most important thing I can do right now is to take care of my problem. I have disclosed that decision to the company, and we mutually agreed that it was appropriate that I resign. I will always appreciate the human understanding and warmth that Bob displayed here and always. I come to this public disclosure with embarrassment, trepidation, and a feeling of having let others I care about down. As I deal with this issue and what it means to me and my family, I ask for appropriate privacy and a little understanding. To my colleagues at ESPN, it has been a privilege. I take great pride in your accomplishment and have complete confidence in your collective ability to continue ESPN's success. Now, I know I look like it and sound like a fool right now. But I want you to understand something, and I don't know what's coming. Like, I don't know if this is, I haven't talked to him, so I don't know how he's doing. And I care about him, but just so that you understand, this person has created everything that exists here at ESPN for us. And he did it because of how he cares about minorities and their causes. And so every success that we've had, I didn't want to work for ESPN. I wanted to work for this man, okay? And so I'm just sort of shocked and hurt and scared, not for anything material, just scared because I want him to be okay, because this is not going to be a fun storm, whatever comes next after this. And so I am sorry I'm reacting this way, and I don't know what damage I'm doing in reacting this way, but so that's Straight Talk. So that's where we are.
All right, that is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most
perhaps
dependable
we could have
4G
done that
LTE
better.
network.
Admittedly, perhaps we could have done that better.
Let it breathe just a little bit.
What am I supposed to do
but
there?
it can't all be content. It can't all be content. My vulnerabilities, they're out in front of you. You can't be trusted with them. They can't be sponsored.
That is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network. Your tears are my content.
I'm crying. So many people are going to make fun of me for crying. That can't be sponsored.
It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network.
We can't laugh around these things. This is human pain. You don't mock human pain. I'm suffering.
Dan's Pain is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network.
Is everything for sale around here? Even my dignity. Can I not make a single solid, profound point without you putting a sponsor on and trying to cash in?
Dan's single profound thought is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
Lebatard. Stugatz lies so much, and he doesn't take inventory of his lies, that even when he's telling the truth, we don't believe him on anything. What's wrong, Stugatz? What are you objecting to?
I mean, listen, I've done this to myself, so I'm frustrated at myself. I'm not going to lash out elsewhere because I understand why everyone would think that I was the one who did this. But I am sitting here telling you guys that I did not do it.
Stugatz. You absolutely took a bite out of a piece of pizza and put it back with the rest of the pizza.
It was me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize, I guess, a number of times over the last little bit here. I think the show might go sideways. Maybe it'll be better. It's certainly going to be real, because we've had people die during friends. We have had friends learn of their death during the show, and I have been altered by it, but not quite as altered as I have been altered by this news, because I don't know what comes with this. And if you're just joining us, the president of ESPN has resigned. My fear is not for anything that we have here or that ESPN, it's not for the material things. my only fear is that if we've gotten to the point where the president of the company feels the need to resign over substance abuse, and if my friend feels the need to say I am embarrassed and I feel like I have let people down, if he says that, I don't know what comes next for him. I don't know what's out there beyond this, and that's all I care. Like, it's really all I care about, and I know I'm going to get crucified. Like, I know I'm going to get crucified for allowing you access to this kind of hurt. I'm going to avoid the internet for for a while, because I know I could tell I'm going to get crushed for trusting this audience with this vulnerability, but I'm learning about it in real time. And somebody I care about deeply is headed toward a storm. And I want him to be okay. And that's it. And bleep me, I don't want to be doing this on air. God dang it. Let's go to the useless sound montage. So this is, Stugotz, you just do it, please.
All right, let's go to the useless sound montage here.
Well done.
We put together a bunch of meaningless sound that is only meaningful to the people on this show, and we play it back for you every week.
Every game counts in this league, and they're all big.
Trying to get hot at the right time. Every game from here on out is a playoff game. You got to play a game at a time. You can't look forward to who's after that or anything like that. So just play game by game, week by week.
We take them one at a time.
Mitch had some really good throws, and then we had a couple errant ones. Just looking at it by the naked eye.
Pleased how we started the game. Obviously, it's what we talked about all week. Or the short week.
We played the exact opposite of, complimentary football. We played terrible.
He's like lightning in a bottle.
I think our destiny's in front of us and in our hands.
There's plays out there to be made. We just didn't make them.
It was a back and forth game. Steelers made a lot of plays. We made some plays. Luckily, we made one more than they did.
The difference between a touchdown and a field goal, not only numerically, but momentum-wise, is huge.
You can't turn the ball over against a good football team. They have proven that if you don't turn the ball over against them, I'm talking about the Eagles, you got a decent chance of winning.
I thought the fans were ready to go. They were outstanding with the crowd noise today. I think we have the best fans in not only in the NFL but the world.
Just move forward and put their blinders on.
He's a big fella, and he landed on me, so didn't feel so hot, but I'm good.
Once you get on the field, you just play ball. You live in the moment, and there's just something that comes out of you that you just go out there and you just play.
First, I'm going to compliment Doug and his football team, the Eagles, for the win. They got it done in the end. I wish him a lot of luck going forward. He's a good man.
We know how important winning at home is. The guys talk about it a lot. We talk a lot about defending our dirt. That's something that's out there. That's a saying that's out there now.
Well, they threw it well and they caught it well.
It's been a while since we've been unsuccessful when we step into a stadium. It's important that we absorb what happened. We make necessary responses as we move forward and get back into our winning ways. And that's going to be our challenge in response to what transpired.
I think overall it was just a football game against a division team that was in playoff contention that we just didn't start fast.
Just on me to make sure that I learn from this and continue to take on these experiences and do whatever I can to be the best me I can, the best teammate and the best leader and the best quarterback I can become. At this point in time, I really can't pinpoint one thing. It's a game of inches.
I'm really just going to play football like I know how to play football.
Gosh, it's a tight group. It's a real tight group. It's a family atmosphere. This is a band of brothers. Those are just not. They're not words.
It's important. We wanted to win. Everybody had a desire. Sometimes you can prepare well and not play well. Those are two different things. I think everybody has to understand the difference between preparing and playing well. And but for the most part, our guys have given great effort. Sometimes we give great effort and the score doesn't indicate that. But I'm happy the way our guys have competed, played, practiced, and prepared throughout the entire season and off season.
We're off the field on fourth down. And to have a penalty there, that's dumb football, no matter what happened or what the penalty was. I don't care if they talk ugly about your mother.
The Patriots more often will allow you to lose games and allow them to win it. It's not like they're doing something to really win it. You're doing something more so to lose it. That's been their MO for years.
Proud of the way the team played and competed all day. Yep, everything. From the opening kickoff to the final gun.
it's going to be hard to convert like 3rd and 23. If you guys have a play for 3rd and 23, I'd love to have you draw it up and mail it to Redskins Park because we don't have many.
Injuries, started them out. We don't make any excuses, but you lose Bostic, then you lose George, and
I just think we did what we're supposed to do. Really, nothing more than that.
Everybody wants to win, but not everybody's willing to prepare. These guys are willing to prepare. These guys are willing to get ready and pay the cost Monday to Saturday.
He's a puppy.
When you saw it live, or even after the first free play, do you think there was any way that he'd actually come down with that inbounds?
I guess it pays to have little cheeks.
I'm going to send Kirk Cousins some of my finest 3rd and 23 plays. I'm going to mail them to Redskins Park, wherever it is. I'm going to mail them some 3rd and 23 plays.
I want to be as transparent as possible. Our show likes to be transparent. So I heard about half of the useless sound. I'm disoriented and I'm not totally here. But for some reason, Guillermo was dancing through useless sound, and I was having sort of a hard time absorbing the funny. And the way Mike was behaving like, what is that John Travolta gif? GIF?
It's from Pulp Fiction, where he's waiting for Marcellus Wallace's wife, and he's just holding a coat, and he doesn't really know where to go. He's just looking around.
Right.
He has something in his
hand. And he's all on heroin, right? He's all on heroin. He doesn't know what to do. He's just looking around, confused, bent over, trying to do something, but useless. So, because I want to tell the audience what's happening here in the name of total transparency.
Okay, please do, because I know where you're going.
Well, just to see if we can do the show around this, because I've made a fool of myself for a segment and a half here. Like I'm just deeply embarrassed. Okay,
you shouldn't be.
Well, whatever. It doesn't matter.
You're getting crushed.
Okay, that's fine. That part doesn't matter. That I'm deeply embarrassed. Okay. But for those of you just joining us, the president of ESPN has resigned, and he has cited substance abuse issues, and so I'm just learning of this via email, and I'm a little bit stunned, and so I'm out of sorts. But so they're trying to keep the show afloat. This isn't the nature of the show we do, where I'm just drifting lost. That's Stugatz's job.
Yep.
Like, I'm drifting lost, not paying attention. Like, that's what we have Stugatz for. Mm-hmm. And Mike is also usually very competent, being able to take care of whatever I spilled behind me janitorially with, holding on to the coat. He can, and the shipping container helps support that.
And whenever I don't hear, he hears.
Right. And so what's happening around here is I'd like to know in the middle of that. First of all, I'm going to reveal something that Mike said. This might be the funniest thing. I've never done what I did this morning, which is before I didn't know anything about any of this. I walk in this morning and I say, I just want from here on out, from wherever it is that we go, I want to eliminate fear from our workplace environment. I want to have nothing but fun. I want everybody to do this week of shows as relaxed as they've ever been about anything. And then this happens. Right, that's exactly right. That's exactly the right response, to laugh in my face. That is exactly the correct response for all. Braying laughter in my face is exactly the correct response.
How we doing?
Yeah. Well, so Guillermo seemed fine during that segment. I drifted off wondering, like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to call somebody? Like, who?
I've never lived with more fear, but then I heard John Fox's voice, and it brought me back.
Happy.
Yeah, it brought me back.
And it made you happy. Yes. Well, here's the thing, right? And so I'm scared, and I'm scared for a number of different reasons, but one of the reasons I'm scared primarily is, my friend, like, it's a real human, it's my friend stuff, but then compounded by, bleep, I just made a fool of myself on the radio and trusted a whole bunch of people who cannot be trusted I just gave them all the ammunition in the world because the internet's forever. And in the middle of that, Guillermo is dancing, and he is dancing to the useless sound montage. And is it because I told you when I walked in here that I wanted you guys to be maximum relaxed?
Well, I don't even like dancing. I hate dancing. It's embarrassing to me. But I figure if there's someone dancing, the camera will get that over someone not reacting whatsoever.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Yeah. That's kind of you. Yeah. So you were bringing the cameras over to you dancing so the cameras wouldn't take my tears, turn it into content, and then Stugatz would turn around and clearly sponsor my tears. My tears are always sponsored. My vulnerability is all sponsored.
Yeah, brought to you by Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
So you were dancing you were, it's like you were providing cover for me.
I actually I wish we had sparklers so I could just light sparklers and keep distracting over here while you were crying in the other room.
We work on South Beach Club, essentially. We can bring bottle service up here, and we can make it more festive.
Okay.
I was Amazon priming a piñata. I don't know what to do. There isn't a handbook for this, and I feel like John Travolta.
Oh, no, there is. It's John Fox's voice.
I mean, it is medicine. Jay, I got to be honest, though. Jay Gruden was a little medicine in there, too. When I heard his voice sound a little bit confused, sort of explaining the pearls of Jay Gruden wisdom, I caught those at the end.
He always seems to be confused.
Yes, his public comments are all confused. Guillermo, because I didn't hear most of it, what were the highlights of the useless sound montage?
This is a good one not to hear.
Oh, wasn't that good?
The highlights are always John Fox.
What were the highlights? But what was John Fox, like, if you had to pick one sound to replay, which one would you go to? Because usually I handle this stuff. I will find what the funny thing is and lead the conversation, but I'm distracted because this is a vulnerable time.
I like the interim coach for the Giants, Steve Spagnuolo or whatever his name is.
Spagnuolo.
I hope he comes around again, just because he seems out of, like, he seems lost, completely lost. He keeps praising the Eagles for some reason.
Yeah,
he always comes around again. He'll be back at some point.
He'll be back. Yeah, Spagnuolo's going to be an interim coach as a mummy.
It was good.
In 200 years.
It was good to have
Put
him
that
back.
on the poll. Put that poll on the poll. Is Spagnuolo going to be, what is his name now?
Spagnola. That's a fine.
That can't be a fine.
What do you mean? And tone issues, too.
Put that on the poll. Is Spagnuolo going to be an interim coach for somebody 200 years from now?
Don Le Batard.
Guillermo, you were here throughout the entirety of that. We talked to them for an hour. What did you think? You guys were listening. What did you guys think was the best thing in there?
Stugotz.
You weren't listening. Okay,
I mean,
good talking
so much
to you.
going on.
Okay, good talking to you. You weren't listening. Excellent work by you again, as always, Guillermo. You brought it strong, as always.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, so we're going to keep trying to do our show, although I don't know exactly how we're going to be able to do this, because Stugotz was saying during the break, should I even be doing weekend observations? And I'm saying to myself, like, let's just do the show. Let's do the show. That's it. I'm vulnerable. I'm not right, but let's just do the show. And so I want to do weekend observations, and we will do it during the next hour. But what I think is funny about Stugotz and Stugotz's inner turmoil and just how self-interested Stugotz is.
Before you get there, I was just throwing that out as a suggestion because they're not very good this week.
Well, wait, that's not even the most embarrassing thing that's going to happen in this segment. Okay. Like, I know that you're trying to get out of weekend observations because you didn't work very hard on them, and you just threw a bunch of notes, a bunch of feces at Mike and tried to get him to organize them.
Why don't you pull up the email I sent you this morning?
Why don't you pull up the email that Mike Ryan sent you just this morning on how your weekend observations were sent? I don't want my level of conflict here. Do you realize that I've ended up in the same situation Cam Newton was in somehow, where I'm sitting here? Cam Newton is defending.
He's defending. You did a better job than Cam did.
I don't feel like I have. I feel like I've done a worse one. I feel like I've done a worse one.
No, you done a tremendous job.
Because Stugotz, in this climate, you have to be very careful who you trust with vulnerabilities.
You've done a great job, Mr. Le Batard.
So we're going to get to weekend observations, but this is actually what happened, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you that these are back-to-back sentences inside the Stugotz, and he doesn't take inventory of what the feelings are. He doesn't see it as plainly, transparently as anyone else in the world does, but this is how it actually happened. Mike, these are two back-to-back sentences from Stugotz during the break, and then there's a third sentence that I'm going to come over the top on, and you're going to be like, I can't believe that this is how cutthroat he is.
Let me think back for a second.
I
know the third.
You just said, we were just talking about John Skipper, who just resigned as president of the company, and you just kept saying, repeating over and over again, I feel awful for him. I feel awful for him. And so I'm sort of sinking into my stuff, and I'm listening to him. I feel awful for him. And then the next thought I hear, I have a great friend who would be a great replacement as president of ESPN. It was the next thought. And then the next thing that came after that is, do you think I could ever be ESPN president?
Right. I mean, maybe look at my friend if I turn down the job, right?
Like, that's how it happened. Like, there's an opening. But first, it's like I feel so bad for him.
I do.
It's like watching football on Sundays. Oh, look, I feel so bad for that guy. His spine hurts. Hey, there's a new guy running in the same place where the old guy was.
But you got to move on while still keeping that guy in your thoughts. Like Ryan Shazier went down, and the Steelers eventually, once they got over the shock, they moved on while still feeling badly for him and having him in his thoughts. You got to move on.
Right. That is where self-interest resides. It's not exactly where human compassion exists.
I do feel terrible.
Right. No, but I'm saying like
John Skipper's been nothing but great to me.
But here's the thing, though. Here's what I would say is the distinction. I do believe that you think you feel terrible, but I would say that that's somewhat diluted when your next thought is, and who's going to be the next president? Like that.
I could see how you would arrive at that conclusion.
Mean painted such a vivid picture about what goes inside Stugatz's head, how it's just a factory of like 15 mini Stugatzes and a conveyor belt with thoughts. So he sees you actually feeling bad for John Skipper.
And so he feels the need to also feel bad.
So all 15 voices are, say you feel bad
That's
too.
Right. That's exactly
say you feel bad.
Say you feel bad. Say you feel bad. Say you feel bad. But there's one voice.
What about us, though?
Yes.
What does this mean for us? What does this mean for me?
There is one guy. Yes.
You could be the next president.
That's it, yes.
Oh, yeah.
No.
He goes, no, give him your friend's name. Give him your and then, no. What about?
No, wait.
Why would I give my friend's name if I could do it myself?
Hold on. I want to recreate this with the shipping container. Okay. I want you guys to be the 4 Stugatzes. Chris, Guillermo, Mike, and Roy are the 4 Stugatzes in his head. Now, there are more Stugatzes. There are 15 Stugatzes, and they are the factory line of workers. There's a foreman Stugatz. He's keeping the thought that everything. There are 15 Stugatz working in concert to get the thoughts to Stugatz's mouth.
All right, so let's do this in order. The 3 thoughts.
Okay.
Saying you feel bad.
No. I don't want to do it in order. I just want them all shouting. I want all because it's chaos in there, right? They all want everything.
They address me as Mr. Gotts. Make sure you guys do the same.
Right. Okay. So now I want to recreate however that would sound like. I want you to imagine we're going to take you well deep inside of the head of Stugatz here. This is secret access nobody gets. This is wired for sound. You thought I was intimate and vulnerable in previous segments. This is deep inside the belly of the beast. We go now inside of the head of Stugatz as the president of ESPN publicly resigns.
Ooh. Wow. It looks sad.
Say you feel bad.
We have to be sad too.
Is this real emotion?
Dan? How do I process this? How do we feel? Say you feel bad too. Do I cry? Do I cry?
What about us?
Crocodile tears.
What about us?
This is a sad day. Wait a second. Dance isn't sad. We're sad.
What about me?
Be sad. Ooh, what does this mean for me? There's an opening. Hold on. How do I make more money off this? How do I have a friend? I need to get the job. The friend can give me more money.
We can real friend.
Wait a minute.
I go on the phone.
Doesn't matter if it's a real friend. You know who makes more money? It should be us. President.
Imaginary
We should be the president. I should forget my friend.
President
No
John
friends.
Wiener.
I'm the
Sounds
friend.
great. Great title. Do I have an office?
I can do this.
It's eisy. I just point a finger. This is great.
Get Argo on the phone.
I have people I can delegate to, right?
How's Dan responding to this?
We're great.
Is it good?
Eisner.
Does he think he'll back me up, right?
What does the president really do? Just a title.
Quick, mention more money.
Strike while the iron's hot.
I love that they all sound like John Lovett.
I actually heard all these things in my head.
I know. These Stugatz thinks we're acting. That's real sound.